Hello viewers, how are you? Welcome to my channel Physics with Rams. So today we are going to discuss some more about vectors. Come to the case of this vectors here. In the previous video we had discussed that what is meant by a physical quantity, how this physical quantity is being classified into scalars and vectors, and based on that we had seen some definitions based on these vectors. But in this video we are going to discuss about a vector. Come to the case, a vector consists of magnitude and direction. Vector consists of magnitude and direction. So based on this magnitude and direction we cannot apply this ordinary algebra. So we require a separate algebra in order to add or subtract the vectors. So now we are going to discuss about this vector algebra in this topic. So in order to discuss this, let us consider the three-dimensional axis. We know that our space is of 3 dimensions and it is being represented based on s, x, y and z. Whereas along the x-axis the unit vector is represented by I cap. Along the y-axis the unit vector is represented as j cap. And along the z-axis the unit vector is represented as k cap. So in this way we represent this vector quantity. So here we have to represent the vector. We didn't discuss the representation of it. A vector is being represented by a straight line. So here observe that we had represented a line. Here we can represent the length of this line. So it represents the length of the line represents magnitude, and the arrow present on this line represents a direction. It represents a direction. So if we represent a magnitude and a direction, then we can say that it is a vector. So here always the vector is being represented like this, whereas the starting point of this line represents a tail. It represents a tail, and the arrowhead represents a head. So that a vector consists of tail as well as a head. So based on this, now we are going to discuss about this topic. So here we cannot apply the ordinary algebra. So here we use vector algebra in order to find the addition or subtraction or anything in the case of vectors. Now we are going to discuss about addition of vectors. So here come to the case of this addition of vectors. If we consider a vector and the vector is being represented as a bar. If we consider a vector A, then we can represent it as a bar. If the vector is acting in the opposite direction, then we can represent it with minus a bar. So based on that, now here we are going to learn about the addition of vectors. So here let us consider that if two vectors are acting along the same direction, means here we are going to consider the vector a bar as well as b bar. Then the resultant of these two vectors is given as r bar equals to a bar plus b bar. R bar equals to a bar plus b bar. Suppose as you observe this case here, if those two vectors are acting in opposite direction, then the resultant of these two vectors is given as r bar equals to a bar minus b bar. Why? Because the direction is opposite to the first vector. Then we can represent this result. In this way we can add the vectors. So now based on this addition of vectors, we are going to see some laws. The first law is a commutative law. According to commutative law, if we add two vectors, then in any manner, then the sum of the two vectors should be same. Then it can be represented as, observe that we had considered two vectors, a bar and b bar. Then a bar plus b bar equals to b bar plus a bar. If this condition is obeyed, we can say that commutative law is obeyed. Whereas the next one is associative law. Associative law. Come to the case of this associative law. Here we consider three vectors, a bar, b bar and c bar. Then the sum of these three vectors, a bar plus b bar plus c bar equals to a bar plus b bar plus c bar. And next distributive law. So in the case of distributive law, we consider a scalar which is multiplied to the sum of two vectors. Let us consider a scalar k and two vectors a bar and b bar. Then k into a bar plus b bar is equals to k a bar plus k b bar. K bar plus B bar. If this condition is obeyed, we can say that distributive law is being obeyed. Means if these three laws are obeyed, then we can say that laws of vector addition are being obeyed. So here, based on these laws, now we are going to define the vector once again. In the previous video, we had represented that a vector is nothing but which has a magnitude and a direction. But actual definition of this, a vector is nothing but it should have magnitude and direction, and also it should obey the laws of vector addition. Then we can say it as a vector quantity. Let us consider electric current. If we consider electric current, here we can represent the direction of the current. Why? Because by placing the wire, we can say that the current is passing from one point to another point, A to B. So here between the 2 points A and B, the current is passing, and we can also represent the magnitude of this current which is passing from point A to B. But as you observe that here we cannot pass the current in reverse direction from B to A, directly connecting it to from a positive to negative direction. Cannot pass the current in reverse direction. Based on that, here we can say that electric current is a scalar quantity. It's a scalar quantity. It is not a vector quantity. Why? Because it does not obey the laws of vector addition. Based on that, here we can represent that electric current is a scalar quantity. As well as time. Here observe that if we consider time as a specific direction, we can consider the time from past to present, present to future. If you consider time, here we can represent that the time passes from past to present, present to future. Observe that it is a specific direction as well as it has magnitude. But here as you consider this case, here we cannot reverse the time. We cannot pass the time from future to present, present to past. Since we cannot reverse this direction, we can say that time is a scalar quantity. Time is a scalar quantity. Take a screenshot. We will continue with the next topic. Yeah, now we are going to discuss once again about a unit vector. We know that unit vector is nothing but a vector which has a unit magnitude and a specific direction is known as a unit vector. And here this unit vector is being represented as a cap equals to a bar by mod of a bar. A cap bar by mod of a bar, where a cap represents a unit vector. Here this a bar is given as xi plus yj plus zk, whereas the modulus of this vector a bar is given as magnitude of I component nothing but x square, and magnitude of the j component y square, and magnitude of the k component z square. Z square. So now if we divide this vector by this magnitude, then here we get a unit vector when it is represented as a cap equals to xi plus yj plus zk by under root of x square plus y square plus z square. Let us see a problem. Let us consider a vector a bar equals to 3i plus 4j plus 5k. Now we have to represent the unit vector for this vector. So here the modulus of this vector or the magnitude of this vector is given as under root of 3 square plus 4 square plus 5 square plus 5 square. And here we know that under root of 3 square is 9, and under root of 4 square is 16, and 5 square is 25. 16 plus 9, 25. 25 plus 25, which is equals to 50, under root of 50. Here based on that we can write it as 5 root 2. 5 root 2. Why? Because here observe that 50 means we can write it as 25 into 2. Under root of 25 is 5. 5 root 2. So here we had represented magnitude. Based on this magnitude, the unit vector is given as A cap equals to the vector 3i plus 4j plus 5k by 5 root 2. It represents unit vector. Take a screenshot. We will continue with the next topic. Now we are going to represent the components of a vector. Here observe this diagram. Whereas let us consider this vector as a p bar. Now the vector is being represented in between x and y axis. Based on these two axes, now we have to represent the components of this vector. So here observe the vector. Here the vector's tail is there. Now we have to draw perpendiculars from vector onto x axis as well as y axis from the tail. As well as we have to draw perpendiculars from the head of the vector onto the x axis as well as y axis. Onto the y axis. Observe that we had drawn perpendiculars onto the x axis as well as y axis. So here the tail coinciding point is represented as x1 from the origin, and here the point is head coinciding point is represented as x2. In the same way, here the coinciding point is represented as y1 as well as y2. Observe that here this vector it makes an angle of theta with respect to horizontal. So now let us represent the boundaries of this vector as A, B and C. A, B and C. Now observe that here we had a right angle triangle with an angle of theta with respect to horizontal. Now based on this, here as you observe this on the right angle triangle ABC. So here we have A, B and C with an angle of theta. From this cos theta equals to adjacent side BC by hypotenuse AB. From this equation we have BC equals to AB cos theta. AB cos theta. And here consider sin theta. From this triangle we have sin theta equals to opposite side, nothing but AC by hypotenuse AB. From this equation we can write AC equals to AB sin theta. Observe that AB is nothing but vector p bar. Then here based on that we can write it as BC is equals to P cos theta, whereas P represents magnitude of this vector. In the same way, AC equals to P sin theta. Now here BC, it is nothing but the vector along the x-axis, nothing but x2 minus x1, which is represented as P suffix x. Vector along the x-axis, it is represented as x2 minus x1, whereas here along the y-axis we can represent it as p suffix y, whereas p suffix y equals to y2 minus y1. So now we are going to represent BC and AC. Observe that from this equation here we have BC is nothing but p suffix x. From this equation we have p suffix x equals to p cos theta, and here from this equation we have p suffix y equals to p sin theta. In this way we can resolve the vector into components. Now based on these components here we have to represent the resultant vector. So observe that here we had considered the Pythagoras theorem. If we substitute the values of BC and AC in this equation, then here we get AB square equals to P cos theta. BC is nothing but P cos theta whole square plus AC is nothing but P sin theta whole square. Whereas from this equation here we have AB square equals to P square cos square theta plus p square sin square theta. So if we take a p square as common, then here we have ab square equals to p square into cos square theta plus sin square theta, where we know that cos square theta plus sin square theta equals to 1. Then from this equation here we have ab square equals to p square. Applying square root on both sides here we get ab is equals to p. Already we had represented this. We know that ab equals to p, magnitude of this vector that represents the condition. Based on this Pythagoras theorem, we had represented the components of the vectors as well as we had represented the magnitude of the vector along the axis. Whereas the direction of this vector is represented as tan theta equals to opposite side, nothing but AC by BC. AC by BC. And here AC by BC, it is nothing but AC, here it is nothing but P suffix y by P suffix x. So here the direction is given as tan theta equals to P suffix y by P suffix x. Suppose if we substitute the values of P suffix y and P suffix x, again we will get a tan theta. Why? Because observe that P suffix x equals to P cos theta and P suffix y equals to P sin theta. If we substitute here, P and P gets cancelled, again sin theta by cos theta is nothing but tan theta. In this way we can represent the direction. Take a screenshot, we will continue with the next topic. Okay, now we are going to solve a problem based on these components of vectors. Observe that a weight mg is suspended from the middle of a rope whose ends are at the same level. The rope is no longer horizontal. What is the minimum tension required to completely straighten the wire? Observe that the two wires are being hanged like this. It is no longer horizontal. Now we have weight is being applied in the downward direction. Based on that, we have to find the tension required to straighten this wire. So here, as you observe that the tension is acting along this direction. Based on the components of vectors, this wire, since the angle theta is present at this, here we are also having angle theta at this point as well as at this point. So here observe that this T tension will resolve into components as T cos theta and T sin theta. T cos theta and T sin theta. In the same way, this tension T, it also resolves into components as T cos theta and T sin theta. T sin theta. So here, as tension is being resolved into components, observe that T sin theta plus T sin theta, this 2T sin theta is being balanced by the weight mg. So here, if we write the balance equation, we can write it as 2T sin theta is equals to mg. From this tension T is equals to mg by 2 sin theta. Mg by 2 sin. Here we have to find the tension required to completely straighten the wire. Means the angle here at this point should be equals to 0. So if we substitute the theta equals to 0, then tension T is equals to mg by 2 sin 0. Where we know that sin 0 is nothing but 0, then we have mg by 0, which is equals to infinity. So in order to straighten the wire horizontally, means the tension required is infinity. Take a screenshot. We will continue with the next problem. So next we are going to solve this problem. Observe that a vector root 3 I cap plus j cap rotates about its tail. So here the vector initially is like this. It is going to rotate by an angle of 30 degrees in clockwise direction. It is rotating in the clockwise direction. Then the new vector is, now we have to find the new vector. So here the vector, initially the vector is represented as root 3 I cap plus j cap. Root 3 I cap plus j cap. So now here, as you observe that since the vector is rotating here, first of all we have to find the magnitude of this vector. Let us consider the vector as a bar equals to root 3 I cap plus j cap. Then the magnitude of this vector a bar equals to under root of root 3 square plus 1 square. 1 square. Based on that, here we get a root 3 square is nothing but 3 plus 1, which is nothing but 4. 4 equals to 2. Magnitude of this vector is 2. Now we have to find the direction. Whereas the direction is given as tan theta equals to component along the y-axis as well as component along the x-axis is nothing but a suffix y by a suffix x. Magnitude component along the y-axis as well as magnitude component along the x-axis. Based on that, here we can write it as observe this vector. Magnitude along the y-axis is 1 by root 3. 1 by root 3. So based on that, here we get tan theta equals to tan 30. Then why? Because 30 equals to tan 30 is equals to 1 by root 3. Based on that, here we can represent that theta equals to 30 degrees. Initially the vector is by an angle of 30 degrees with a horizontal. Now here the vector is rotating by an angle of 30 degrees. The vector is rotating by an angle of 30 degrees. So as it rotates in clockwise direction, the resultant vector will be acting along the x-axis. Resultant vector will be acting along the x-axis. Its magnitude will not change, whereas its direction changes. Based on that, the new vector is represented as a 2i cap. 2i cap. Take a screenshot. I hope that you had enjoyed my video. If you like my video, subscribe my channel and share this video to your friends, and don't forget to like my video. Thank you.